What are your takeaways from film from the past game?
From the past game on defense, I felt like we played a really team game. Like if you look at the stat line, it's not like one guy had like 40 tackles or something like that. I think it was a really spread game, and we had a lot of guys step up to the plate, and we had a lot of guys, perform at a high level. And it felt like as a team we really came together. I felt like that's the biggest thing that we've been preaching all year is to play team ball and to play as a unit. And I feel like we're starting to get to that point where, there's a lot more to improve on. There's always stuff that we can improve on, and seeing the things that we've had, like lapses and stuff like that, and just finding a way to improve those, everything, communication from across the board.
Well, you talk about that teamwork. I don't think we've seen a defensive line rotate this many guys and share this many reps. What's that like, the buy-in factor? And you guys talk about that throughout the season, just maximize your reps when you're in there type thing?
I mean, as a team, we all know at the end of the day what we want to achieve, and a lot of guys that are on the team right now are on that 2019 team, and like the last year's team, and everybody knows what we can do as a team. So I don't think we're really sitting there worried about what how many reps you're getting, how many plays you're in the game. It's more about just at the end of the day, we all want to win the game and making sure that we keep doing what we need to do to win the game. And I think if you talk about guys who may, if you want more reps or whatever that is, I don't think we have that on our team. We don't have anybody who's really selfishly focusing on just how many reps they're getting. I think it's more about as long as you're in the game, and when you're in the game, when your opportunity comes, maximizing it and just being able to play and do an assignment for everybody on the field.
Is there something to be said about being fresh too? That guys come in and they're not worn down. They can make explosive plays because they're not playing, X number of snaps.
100%. I mean, if think about it, if you have the opportunity when you come in the game, if you're not, you didn't just go out the last drive and having able to, rotate that many guys can go out, play as hard as they want to because they know, if I play for 5-6 plays straight in a row, someone can come in and play at the same level or the same caliber as me. So then you're not worried about saving yourself. You can play as you're maximizing every play you're in there.
Last week you talked about kind of the reality show of the D line. What kind of role or kind of position is Wilt in that?
I mean, he's basically, if you want to say it's full house or you want to say he's the dad of the house, he makes sure, he's out there managing everybody, personalities, keeping everybody in check. He's always checking on everybody, making sure everyone's doing mentally well, as well as physical. So, I mean, he's just a guy that's just make sure everyone is like on the same path, checking in on everybody and making sure everyone's improving in ways that they need to improve on, but at the same time managing everyone. And I feel like he's one of those guys that just kind of like looks over everyone and just taking care of, he's always checking in, how you doing, making sure, he'll call you randomly, text you randomly, and just checking on you. So, I mean, he does that, and he'll pull you aside if he feels like you want to talk. I just want to talk to you. And that doesn't even have to be about ball. It could be about life. It could be about anything. So I feel like he's really done a job of making sure that everyone's feeling well and keep checking on everyone and making sure we're managing it well.
How has he done that with you?
I mean, with me, we've had one-on-one meetings personally. Me and him have talked. We've talked about various things, anything from life, how's class? What'd you have for dinner last night? Or have you gone out to eat? Have you tried this restaurant? Just to have like a conversation, creating that relationship. And, as long as we're talking about things on the field, about football, how to improve anything, little things to big things, and finding the ways to improve our game. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. You never feel like you played a perfect game, but finding ways to improve your game and just having those conversations, and it's always helpful.
Practice against your offensive line. How does that develop you guys on the defense?
I mean, it's beneficial, especially like people like Daniel, you don't see that a lot. And so when you're able to go against that every day and go against that, continuously throughout the year, it makes it so that, it improves your game that much more so you can understand, going against larger people, like what you have to do, how to leverage yourself, how to play against a bigger O-lineman. And then going into the game, they're experienced O-line. They know each other really well. They play off of each other really well. So then it makes us have to play even better to even improve our game to be able to, make plays and stuff like that.
Is there a line an opponent that you face that's similar?
To like as our to deal as our O-line as a unit or individually. I mean, I don't know necessarily because I think it's very rare to find a group of guys who've played that much football together. Our O-line has been together for years now, and that's really rare to say. Every year you normally rotate guys or someone steps into a new position as O-line. You never really have all five returning all the time. So, I mean, I can't say that every team that we play has that or doesn't have that, but I mean, I haven't seen a lot of teams that have that type of chemistry to say.
Boye, I know you were a late addition in the 17 class, and those guys from Western Michigan were already kind of in the fold. What did you think of the fact that there were so many guys coming from previous commits to PJ Fleck at Western?
I mean, it was different. I mean, because going into the recruiting, there was the staff that was here before, there was already a kind of a class that was developed, and then a couple of those guys stayed. A couple of guys played with me, like Blaze Andrews, he was in that class with me. And now that we had just a new addition, I think when we first got to campus, they did a really well job of making us integrate. They had us rooming with each other, not just keeping us separated, but they really made us integrate and really like be around each other. And I didn't think we really looked at it as like two different teams or two different classes or two different people. I think of it, we felt as if it was just that was our class. And it was, regardless of where you came from, if you were a transfer or like not a transfer, but if you were flipped over from whatever school or if you came from you were committed to another program, whatever, it was more about, this is where we are at and this is our class. And I didn't think we looked at it as even that there was, I didn't know half the guys that were committed to him at Western Michigan as if like when we got to campus. When we got to campus, it was just like, well, this is my class, these are the guys I came with, and these are the people I know.
Pro Football Focus had some pretty high praise for you about pressures on third and fourth down. What's been key for you in those situations?
Honestly, just keeping improving my game. I mean, every week there's a game plan of how we have to attack, having our job, if it's containing the quarterback, if it's, getting in his face or whatever it is, whatever we need to do, and just making sure that every week we, do it to a T. And if we, studying in the film, focusing on the different things, because every team is different. Every offensive line is different. Every quarterback is different. Every team plays in unison to each other. Quarterback and O-line have to, play off of each other. And so just focusing on the ways to improve week to week and how I can various ways I can pass rush. Maybe 1 week calls for this, 1 week calls for that. There are various things that you can do in pass rush, and it's it's an art form, and it's something that you can change week in and week out to make sure that you're at your best. So honestly, just finding ways to really improve it every week. And I think that's the biggest thing is working with the coaches. I mean, they come every week, they come with a plan of like, all right, this is the best way to attack them. And I have to find a way to, throughout the week, work on those things, if they're in my strong suit, if they're not in my strong suit, and to put myself in the best situation.
What impresses you about Northwestern's offense that you've seen?
Oh, they're a very disciplined team. I mean, they're traditionally a disciplined team. How many times have they won the Big Ten West in the past 5 years? And so, going against a team like that, you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to make sure that you play a very disciplined game against a team like that. Making sure that that they're not a team that really messes up a lot. So they're a team they're very sound in the way they run their offense. Everything they do it to a T. So just making sure that we do our things to a T and making sure we maximize and how we perfect our defense this week, making sure that we play to our best ability.
So you're talking about your pass rush. If you watch it like a tackle on film, will you say, okay, this move might work against this guy this week, and you might try something you haven't tried, a certain move, or?
Yeah, I mean it varies. There's a lot of different ways you can pass for somebody. You can go. I'd say you can go underneath them, through them, or around them, right? And every offensive line has either their strong suits or the weak suits. Things that they are really good at, they're not that good at, and you have to find a way to attack those. And I mean, every week a move might work this week, but it may not work next week. And so you have to really go into your I don't know, say your toolbox of moves that or things that and like whatever I feel more comfortable with and whatever thinks is the best plan to attack them, then yeah, you can vary for weeks. And then 1 week I might do this move, next week I might not even think about that. That might be out of the playbook for me personally. And next week I might try something else. This will be a better move for this week, or this of offensive tackle. So obviously it's something that it changes week to week and player to player.
I assume all that off-season work.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you do in the off season. You gotta work on all those different moves so that when it comes time to pull out your toolbox, that you're not just doing it for the first time.
When you're watching other pass rushers, are you watching guys like Aiden Hutchinson or George Kalafakis from Purdue, or are you watching NFL guys, and if so, which ones?
I mean, I don't necessarily pick just one person to watch. I take knowledge from everybody. I mean, everybody from the college level to the professional level, pass rush doesn't happen just one way. It's not one thing that you do. There's not one right answer to how to pass rush. And there's various ways you can pass rush, and everybody has different abilities and different, skill sets. And I take a little bit of everything. And, one thing that someone does that I really like, or I think is, that's working for them. Let me see if that will work for me. And I think you can learn from anybody. If it's Hutchinson, if it's, any type of pass rusher, and if they're having success, maybe that will work for me. And finding the things that they do and things that I can improve on my game, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, and that they're showing something that can improve my game. I mean, you can take that in knowledge, and even at the NFL level, there's a lot of things that they do that, you know, you can take from them. And like if it's the little things of, you know, pad level, how they step with their feet, how do they engage tackles, where do they place their hands, how do they get them, you know, how do they shake a tackle down, and just like little things like that you can take from any type of pass rusher. And I don't think it's necessarily like a thing where you can only watch one person or watch necessarily like a type of pass rusher. I think you need to really take things from multiple types of pass rushers and see how that works and how does that make the offensive tackle either, you know, grab the stakes, stay on their ground, or does that make them get on their heels? And the things like that just are like things that you focus on more about how they're making an impression on the tackles.
Any more for Boye? Cool. Boye, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.